For BHSpringSolutions LLC, and today we're going to show you the process for converting out the traditional operating system on the high power over to the safety fast shooting system, or SFS. We're also going to show you how to install a couple of optimized BHSpringSolutions SFS springs. We're going to get to that here in just a moment. I want to show you the things on the table we may be using. We've got the BHSpringSolutions third hand tool. Also from BHSpringSolutions, a standard 1/16 and 3/32 punch, a small flat bladed screwdriver, pair of tweezers, needle nose pliers, plastic mallet, and we've got a parts bag here for traditional operating system parts that we will not be using. I cheated a little bit. I already took off the right side ambidextrous safety lever, so that's already in the bag. We will not be reusing it. We're going to be using the SFS kit. The SFS kit looks like this. It is a kit of parts and springs and looks like this. Everything is very well organized. This kit does come with very good detailed printed instructions. Sometimes it's a little nicer to watch the process being done. Also, the BHSpringSolutions optimized SFS springs. There's a cocking lever spring and a return spring in here that I want to go ahead and put in as we're doing this. So we're going to get started. First, we're going to take off the BHSpringSolutions Masters grips. We'll lay those aside. And we're going to do a normal takedown like you would for a normal field strip. When you lock the slide back, remove the slide stop. We're going to go ahead and set the slide apart because nothing in the slide assembly is going to be changed at all. The slide stop we can put in our traditional operating system bag. If you ever want to put the traditional operating system back into a high power, maybe take your SFS kit and put it in a different high power, you can always do that. That's absolutely no problem. You just reverse everything you're watching here. With the BH third hand tool, we're going to lock the hammer back, and then we're going to go ahead and push out. There's a little sear pin in the frame right here. We're going to go ahead and push that out. It's not really a hammer subject. We keep that sear pin handy. You're going to reuse that. Now we're going to go ahead and let the sear and the sear spring go. So now we've got our sear, we've got our sear spring. Both of these will not be used in the SFS conversion, so those are going to go in our traditional operating system bag. Now that we've got those out, we can go ahead, release the hammer. We're going to go ahead and push out the regular ambidextrous safety. Watch for your little tab here and the spring in your safety lever. These also will not be reused, so we're going to put those in the traditional operating system bag. The ejector, we will be reusing that. And your original hammer strut, and mainspring will not be reused either, so we'll put those in the traditional operating system bag. And now we're completely empty back here, and we're going to rebuild this with the SFS kit. First thing we're going to do, I'm going to show you the hammer assembly for the SFS system. There are instructions included, but to take this apart, and we're going to get to a return spring in here that I want to go ahead and replace out. So all you do is just lift up here on this side of the hammer, and out comes the hammer, the drop safety. Your hammer strut comes off like this and goes back on, and there is that return spring. Really nothing wrong with the return spring that's in here. We have had some feedback that the two BH optimized springs I'm going to go ahead and put in here do seem to give the unique SFS hammer functions a little more snappiness to them, or maybe a little crisper, you'd say. So I'm going to go ahead and install those. The other spring in here is the main spring that comes mounted on the hammer strut for the SFS system. The BHSpringSolutions main spring is equivalent to the OEM that's provided, so I'm not going to change that off today. I'll save that for a freshen up at a later time. So we've got our cocking lever spring and our return spring. I'm going to set the cocking lever spring here aside. The return spring looks like this, and it's got two arms on it. So you're going to know if this is upside down because when you have it oriented correctly, your coils will be coming from the bottom, and then the arms come out basically at a 90 on both sides. And also on the left side of the return spring, the tip that comes off of the coil is going to be away from you as you're holding it. The tip that comes off the right side is going to be near you. If you've got it that way, you've got it right. This little piece is a drop safety that's added into your high power when you install SFS. It's got a little tab on it. There's a hole for it right here, and it just simply slides in there. Take your return spring. Now this is important here. That arm of your return spring is going to go right here on top of that drop safety. So we'll put it here, and then your other arm is right there. Now we're going to take our hammer. This spot of your hammer, there's a little curve right here next to the hole. That's where you're going to pick up that spring. If I can show you, may or may not show up on video, but what I've got here is this arm that's against this part of the hammer, this arm here at the drop safety. Now I'm going to simply wind the spring around like this, and it pops right on into place. Your drop safety should clear that the left arm of the spring, and once it does, it will be to the side in a little notch right here. So your drop safety is going to snap forward and backwards like that. I'm going to go ahead and orient it this way for now. So that return spring has now been replaced out. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get started on reassembling the frame part, and that begins with your sear pin. We're going to take our sear pin, come just through the frame hole to where I can just see that sear pin. And now we're going to go ahead and get the SFS sear. When you look at the SFS sear, you've got one side that has a little tip right here. That is going to be, in essence, on top. So we're going to go ahead and orient that right here and insert our sear pin through the sear. And now our sear pin has just gotten started coming through, and we're going to just stop there. The next piece we're going to get is the SFS lever. The SFS lever looks like this. It has a hook on the bottom of it. I'm going to go ahead and grab that hook, line the hole up here with the sear pin, push the sear pin through the hole in the SFS lever. Hardest thing I've done all day. Okay, now we're going to let that SFS lever go ahead and drop. The hook now is at the bottom. And the last thing we're going to get is our extractor. The extractor has a hole right here. We're going to line the extractor up with that sear pin. Got it? And go ahead and we can push the sear pin. Once everything is lined up, we can push that sear pin flush with the frame, and now all of our parts that hang on the sear pin are reinstalled. Now the key to the next part is you want this SFS lever and the hook to kind of be out of the way. You want your extractor to, in essence, be at a 90 like that, because that's what's going to allow you to go ahead and introduce the SFS hammer assembly right up through there like that. We're going to go ahead and hit that notch here. Now we've got our hammer pulled up. By the way, that SFS lever with that hook, I pushed that up. Hammer came right up through the through where it needs to be, and then your ejector, I'm sorry, gets repositioned like that. When you look through this hole, you're going to see the hook on the SFS lever. If you remember that part, it needs to be in line with the hole. Hammer is also in line with the hole. Now we're going to grab our new ambidextrous cocking lever. It's also, when you hear the word cocking lever with SFS, that is your ambidextrous safety. It's called a cocking lever because when you pull this safety off, the hammer cocks. So hence the name there. The cocking lever, when you hold the left side, you're going to notice a hole here. That is for your cocking lever spring. The cocking lever spring looks like this. And it's a coil spring, but it's unique in that at the top of, or at one end, has a little tip of the wire spring that comes off basically at a 90. That tip you want to orient as going into the hole of your cocking lever or your safety lever last, and we're going to show you that installation in a moment. But for now, we're going to go ahead and introduce the cocking lever with our hook in line, because the hook is going to get picked up by that little bar on the cocking lever. So we're going to go ahead and introduce that like this. And the best thing to do is go ahead and seat that lever like I just did. Then you're going to back it out just a little bit. And when you back that out just a little bit, like that, you're going to introduce this spring, the cocking lever spring. You want this tip that sticks out at a 90, you want that on top or on the side of the spring that's away from the frame. So we're going to go ahead and slide that spring into its position. And now we're going to go ahead and orient it where that spring tip is on top. And now it is. Taking the frame this way, now we've got our spring, we've got that tab on top. We're going to take a flat blade screwdriver, we're going to push it up into its hole, and at the same time we push down the safety. It's seated, and we should be able to look through here and see the tip of that spring in the hole around the top or away from the frame. If that's where it's at, it is positioned correctly. We want to go ahead now and put in our sear spring. The sear spring comes from the underneath side. This arm here is going to go under the sear, and you're going to push that all the way up. When you do, you're going to be able to take the tab of that sear spring, push it down, and you heard it snap right into place, and now it is in place correctly. At this point, we can go ahead and check the function of the SFS. Hammer pushes forward, safety lever cams up, cam off the safety, hammer cocks itself. Okay, we got the right side safety lever to go ahead and push on. You're going to love this because this is even easier to install than the traditional operating system, because this cannot spin. When you push this on, it is in position. Now all we've got to do is and we'll finish tapping that pin in on the cocking lever on the right side, and check function again. Everything looks good. Reassembling the SFS is easier than the traditional operating system. You do not have to lock your slide back. Just put your slide to its forward position on the frame, take your new extended slide stop, press that in, and that's it, folks. You'll put your grip panels back on, and that is an SFS change out. Now we've got hammer forward, condition 1 carry.